Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all between the binary. This is Get Informed with Waji or Waji. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a live recording of the funeral for Ali Khomeini. I don't know what's going on here. Feels track. It's loading up. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I have today's an interesting day, to say the least. You have the funeral procession, people coming up groups by groups. You have Khamenei, his wife, his daughter in law, and his granddaughter all laid next to each other. Live stream has ended, actually. So that was just the end of the funeral. We just missed the whole funeral, but it was playing live because we were in the live stream as well. We couldn't play that for you guys. So we do appreciate that you tuned in with us. Leaders from uh, many countries, not all countries, many countries, mostly neighboring countries, have visited Iran to pay their respect. This, of course, doesn't happen in a vacuum. This coincides with another incident that has happened between the United States and Iran, where this day marks the burial of Ayatollah. That's right. And it is the 38th anniversary of the U.S. downing of an Iran Flight 655 that was on July 3rd, 1988. The USS Vincennes fired two missiles at a civilian Airbus A300 in the Strait of Hormuz, killing 290 civilians and 66, including 66 children on board. And the United States never officially apologized for that mistake. And the United States has never apologized for any of its mistakes, if we are honest. I am not here to honor Ali Khamenei. I'm not here to support the Iranian government. But I'm here to tell the truth. United States fucked up time and time over with Iran. Became the abusive boyfriend. And that boyfriend kept coming back, abusing Iran and asking Iran to trust them back. Iran no longer has any trust for the United States. So when they say we need you to show us that we can trust you, that's not coming out of nowhere. That is not them being dramatic. That's not them being extra. They have a reason why they want the United States to show that Iran can trust them. It's as simple as that. I haven't placed a section for the questions yet in my chat. My phone is being slow today. It's not even letting me post. Here you go. Thanks for your patience. Let's give you a recap of what has happened since the beginning, and let me give you some news. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched an unprecedented primitive military campaign against Iran, designated as Epic Fury and Operation or Roaring Lion. The coalition objectives were absolute: neutralize nuclear infrastructure, permanently degrade the ballistic missiles capability, and execute a systematic decapitation of the regime leadership and the downfall of the Iranian government. The initial 12-hour salvo campaign nearly had 900 coordinate strikes, heavily concentrated on the Pasture district of Tehran. The airstrikes deployed B 1, B 2, and B 252 bombers, stealth fighters, and drone 2 achieve the presidential to reach the presidential resident, National Security Council facilities, and the Supreme Leader's residence. The offensive successfully assassinated the Supreme Leader Ali Khomeini alongside the core Iranian military high command, including the IRGC Commander in Chief, Major General Mohammad Pakapur. The strategic assumption that eliminating the apex leadership would trigger an immediate political collapse proved to be profounded miscalculation. The calculation that Iran wouldn't be able to control the Strait of Hormuz was not even in the calculation to begin with. The Iranian state apparatus transitioned to a deconstructed retaliatory doctrine, establishing an interim leadership council, electing Mujtaba Khamenei as the supreme leader by March 8th, from one Khamenei to another. Iran immediately activated the axis of resistance, launching thousands of drones and hundreds of ballistic missiles at the U.S. allied and institutions across the Middle East. These, precis- these precision targeting parameters from the United States, resulting in severe civilian uh, collateral damages inside of Lebanon and inside of Iran. The United States struck a school with 148 uh, kids. No, with 168 individuals, about 90 of them are kids or something like that. Attacks on Iranian industrial hubs release toxic PFAS chemicals, heavy metals, and benzene, creating black rain over major population centers in Iran. Domestic Iranian security collapsed into intense parallel, resulting in accelerated execution of political dissidents and severe retaliation on in facilities like Evin prison. Any type of retaliation in Iran will be met and was met with extreme force. There is no time to think twice for the Iranian government at this point. Child soldiers were mobilized into the war logistics with documented casualties, including 11-year-old killed at Tehran checkpoints. International action frameworks mathematically model this conflict via utility function represents as where state way the represented an equation ui times si slash si. If you read the article, you'll be able to see it more more clearly. I advise you to take a look at the equation. This is where states weigh strategic benefit against adversary actions. A highly sophisticated assassination campaign operating deep inside Iran functioned as a iterated costly sign to prove absolute intelligence dominance against Iran, or you would say intelligence penetration. The baseline of domestic vulnerability was exposed on January 18 when two senior Iranian judges were assassinated inside a heavily fortified Supreme Court. Israel escalated the campaign by eliminating key fighters, advancing, advising for active nuclear weaponization, including former National Security Advisor Ali Khomeini. A senior diplomat, Kamal Kharazi, was also killed following a targeted airstrikes that forced his recollection to where he was. He was attacked in his own house, and that attack immediately killed his wife. but he was severely wounded. He was taken to a hospital. In that hospital, he had bad infection and his lungs were severely hurt, where he died in that hospital. The psychological warfare, though, from the Americans and the Israelis played itself. It was activated, objective, degrading cognitive performance of surviving Iranian leadership through intense paranoia. So they were trying to create a lot of paranoia on who they should trust inside of Iran and who they shouldn't trust inside of Iran. And to some extent that there was some success in that. That's why we saw a lot of numbers of execution all of a sudden. The US and Israel rapidly fractured over an alliance prisoner's dilemma regarding ultimate end state. Earlier today on Malcolm Nance's podcast, I was speaking openly about how game theory can explain why Trump and Netanyahu are decoupling from their own relationship, or if you'd like to call it, they're having a divorce. Trump and Netanyahu has their own personal political agenda, and they're both facing their own political pressure from their own voting bloc. Netanyahu is facing pressure from the far right, where he is forced to push for a decisive victory, like he would like to say, an end to the Iranian regime and an end to Hezbollah. Meanwhile, Trump promised to bring prices down for his election and end an endless war for in front of his own people when he was running for elections. This war has proven to be one of those endless wars. And Trump is facing a midterm election. And as long as prices continue to rise and the war continues to roar, Trump is will continue to face his supporters that are wanting to quote unquote put America first, not Israel first. The U.S. Requires conflict termination and a negotiation settlement to stabilize global market, where Israel demanded total regime change and the permanent eradication of the Iranian leadership structure. When Israel obtained precise coordination to assassinate the Iranian negotiators, Abbas Karachi and Mohammad Baghragaf, the U.S. Utilized heavy coercive leverage to abort the strike and prevent a diplomatic backlash, especially that the Pakistanis reached out to the United States and told them, if you let the Israelis kill these two negotiators, we will literally have no one else to talk to inside of Iran. So the United States not only let their allies exactly what Israel is up to, so they could give Iran a heads up, but they also put tremendous pressure on the Israeli government to call off that attack. And yeah, maritime brinkmanship and Pakistan's geo-economic corridor. The control of the Strait of Hormuz dictated the tempo of the conflict, molded as high stake game of chicken, where both actors head on a coalition course. The IRGC Navy utilized anti access area denial measures to physically close the strait, weaponizing global energy market. This US, so the US enforced Operation Economic Fury. I don't know how they come up with these names. A massive naval blockade designed to intercept Iranian shipping and isolate its economy. Essentially, block your blockade, block your block. This created a deadlock where Pakistan established a geo-economic lifeline, reviving a 2008 agreement to process Iranian bound cargo at Arabian seaports. No, I just have hard time enunciating Iranian names written in English because in Arabic it tells you exactly how to enunciate it when you write it in the Arabic letters. But when you write it in English letters, every time I look at the name, it doesn't give the enunciation. So every time you come to read it, it sounds like an alien name because it's written with English letters without telling you how to enunciate it. That's the problem. It sounds like it comes from AI, but it's not. I'm just having a hard time enunciating Persian names written in English. I hope that makes sense. You were lucky I looked up at that point because I wasn't even reading the comment. Like, let me give you an example and I'll keep going. And if you look at the Quran, it has the Arabic letters and then it has so many additional vowels and characters that tell you exactly how to enunciate. Because when you enunciate the Quran, you have so many different ways of pronouncing certain letters, like Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. How are you going to know how far you're going to take each letter and how low you're going to take each letter without the whole reason we have dots and we have lines now and we have a whole bunch of different things in Arabic is because the language didn't used to have any of that before. But as the Arabic you would say empire was growing and more countries was becoming Arab, we had more people having hard time reading and figuring out what it is. So we started adding dots and lines, and now we're dependent on it. So we have a good idea of how to enunciate. So when I see it, Middle Eastern names written in English, it's really frustrating sometimes because it doesn't give you a good idea unless you already know the name. Uh, but I always forget how to pronounce the Persian names. The IRGC utilized the access denial to weaponize the energy market, the Operation Epic Fury, Economic Fury. The deadlock was broken with Pakistan. Pakistan processed approximately 20,000 containers by May, rerouting them over land to the Iranian borders with the approximate premium costs of $7,000 per container. The transit generated up to $140 million in immediate revenue for Pakistan while bypassing the U.S. blockade. China was tactically implicated in this evasion as the Chinese overseas port holding company retainers of 91% of gross revenue at the Goward port. So Believe it or not, the U.S. this declined to sanction Pakistan, and they're saying that they're allowing these logistical survival was necessary to bring Tehran to the negotiation table. So, Trump was complaining about all the, some of the things that Obama has done with Iran. We've given them everything they wanted and more. The Islamabad Memorandum and the Critical Intelligence Blind Spot, mandated by the Pakistani and Qatari diplomat. The 14-point Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding was remotely signed by Donald Trump and Masoud Pezeshkian on June 17th. The agreement established a 60-day negotiation window mandating a halt to hostile maritime uh, normalization, sanctions relief, and a formal Iranian commitment to halt nuclear weaponization. This diplomatic framework operates as a back channel stag hunt. This is really important. Stag hunt only works is when you work with people together in order to head to hunt the stag. So if you get distracted by a rabbit and you stop hunting the stag, then it becomes harder for everyone to hunt the stag, and everyone looks for a smaller uh, game to hunt. Where absolute trust is required to achieve the massive shared chaos of peace. And again, I repeat myself. Do you believe there is any trust between the Iranians and the Americans? I want you to answer. Oh, there's a way where I can only ask to show questions. That's absolutely cool. At the end of the episode, now I can change it to take away the comments. That's pretty cool. There's absolutely no trust. That's right. Everyone says it. By the way, there's 155 of you today. Thank you so much for coming in. If I could request just all of you to take 1 second, if 155 of you just clicked share and shared it, this platform will share this live stream with everyone else. Make sure that this algorithm knows that you guys support this and you want it to be shared around. If you're asking about my t-shirts, hoodies, we are, these are still out for sale. We have new designs coming. The design was going to be two-face, but we decided that two-sided t-shirts are going to distract the message. So we're going to have one t-shirt coming. We're going to have two t-shirts coming up, part one and part two. You know, stay tuned. And it's all about the class war. So it's something you will appreciate having and sharing and showing your friends for sure. The art is handmade by actual artists. The work is not done by AI, and that's why it takes a lot of time. We don't, and the team is small that does the design. And when they send me stuff that I don't agree with or doesn't have the correct representation in it, I had to correct some of that. And we have been going back and forth just to make sure that an Arabic turban looks like an Arabic turban, different than a Sikh turban. The shmak is identified. The Native American clothes is actually identified. I wanted to actual representation of culture. I didn't want people to have to assume who is in the picture or what race they are. I just wanted to have an inclusion of different uh, people. So uh, when this is also done by real people. Like this is not AI. This is done by actual people, back and forth communication, ideas, you know, flowing. So anything I sell to you for my clothes has not been touched by AI at all. I do use AI to help me edit, make my content a little bit more accessible, make change the wording from being very, very scientific to being, accessible by everyone else. We have some uses for AI, but those are like like Grammarly, which has been there before AI was there. Some other softwares that have been there before AI was there, and now everyone says AI to inflate the investment, but the software has been there before AI was there, and they're just there to help me do edits and make my content more accessible in terms of writing. They point out all the grammar mistakes, they point out all the spelling mistakes. I strongly, you know, recommend you to use Grammarly. The nice thing about it is it it it's been there since I was using it 2012 when I was in college. So that, like if I don't have extra help, you would think that no, but I have two people helping me write and research, and then we use Grammarly and other softwares like that to help write. It's really nice. This is not a paid. Uh, this is not a paid promotion for Grammarly, and they have not paid me for this. But you can have Grammarly on your laptop, you can have Grammarly on your phone, you can have Grammarly on your tablet, you can integrate it into your email, you can integrate it into your uh, browser, you can integrate it into your Word document, and it becomes automatic. It automatically pulls out the mistakes and start fixing it for you. They have different settings where you do this is based on a research paper. This is a legal document. This is, and you change the settings however you want, and it gives you, and those been there for since 2011. This is nothing. They have improved on them, but these features been there since 2012, 2000, yeah, something like that. So yeah, they're pretty cool people. But the art that I sell you, the products that I sell you, we don't use AI. We actually pay humans uh, to produce these things. How dare you, John? You come to my class late, I will put you down as tarty. What is it called in English? Tarty? I forgot how you enunciate that word. You're tardy. Yeah, whatever. Tardy, yes, tardy. There's a billion John on this phone. I don't know what John, but it's John. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming. Tardy, tardy. Yes. Mm. This trust critically by June 20th. I told you there's no trust. I asked you if there's any trust between the United States and Iran, and all of you said no. There's no trust between the United States and Iran, and you're absolutely correct about that. And someone is calling me. That is spam. parties. So, by June, as I said, there is no trust between the United States. Can you hear me now? Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Can you guys hear me? Just give me yes or no. Hear me? Thank you. So, as there was no trust, this has critically failed by June 20th when Iran re-declared the Strait of Hormuz closed, citing alleged American bad faith and ongoing Israeli operations in Lebanon, which is still ongoing until today. Analysis track, severe intelligence blind spot, were threatening the framework primarily regarding the actual command efficiency of Mustafa Khamenei over the fractured IRGC. And at that point, I always told you guys, you might as well think that the IRGC is Mustafa Khamenei for all intents and purposes. The The financial mechanics underwriting of the Pakistani transaction corridor remain entirely opaque, where hypotheses pointing to non currency barter or Chinese yuan settlements. Is the Fez hat a religious hat? Depends on who's wearing it. This hat used to be worn by the Ottomans for different generation for maybe a couple hundred years, and it was wrapped with turbans. And then after it was wrapped with turbans, with modernity, only the sheikhs wears it with turban, and then the uh, only the uh, you know the rest of the people would wear it. Different colors they had different colors. They had different tassels. It basically told what kind of position you hold in society, whether you're a working person, you're a doctor, lawyer, whatever it was, a government person. These that's what it played. So the fez hat does not depends what who's wearing. I'm not wearing it as a religious. I'm wearing it to piss off the Saudis. Because it's cool. The Saudis like to wear the shmag and igal, and they forced everyone else to stop wearing the fez hat and to stop wearing turbans and only wear their shmag. Believe it or not, the shmag, the red and white thing, is very similar to it. It's an actual thing that dates back to Jewish clothing in Arabia. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Arabs, there's many Arab Jews in Arabia. That there are many Muslim. Arab Jews in Arabia that can track their descendants to Judaism, and ethnically they're Jewish. It's just ethnically they're Jewish. They're Arab Jews. So and but they're Muslim. So but why did I bring that? Yes, because the Shema used to be worn by them, especially like when they're doing their religious prayers and stuff. They have a specific, I don't know what they're called. I don't know. I'm not. So it was originally worn by Jews, Arab Jews, and then became long, hundreds of years ago, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, became part of the Arabic clothing. So this is nothing. It didn't become part of the Arabic clothing just recently, but it's been part of the Arabic clothing for more than 2,000 years or so. So it's not about like it's something that the Arabs have stolen from the Jews. No, it's just been a part of our culture. Uh, Most people just don't know that. So the turban. So it's kind of funny because apparently, like the Saudis are supposedly very, very religious, and supposedly they're like very anti-Israel, very anti-Jewish, and all of that in between. And yet, their national clothing, the symbol of the Saudi headwear for the Saudi government, is a Jewish headwear, originally Jewish headwear. And they basically forbade turbans, which is the actual headwear of the Prophet, from being worn into governmental buildings. So it's kind of a little confusing. So you're telling me the Sunnah, which is the Islamic word of saying you're supposed to follow the footsteps of the Prophet, is wearing a turban. Like the correct way of wearing a headwear is wearing a turban. So why are you saying wearing a turban in governmental buildings is not Saudi? Is very interesting. But if you think about it, Saudi Arabia is not named after a region. Saudi Arabia is named after the Al Saud family. Al Saud is a family name. The continent is called Arabia. Not the continent, the Arabian Peninsula is called Arabia. It's called Arabia. We are being forced to call ourselves after a family name. That family name is Al Saud. So when you go to someone that's from Saudi Arabia and you go, "Are you Saudi?" That means like you've been forced. Like not everyone thinks about it that way, but if you think about it from a perspective, you have forced every single citizen in that country to take your name. The UK didn't even do that. The British royal family didn't do that. But our kings in Arabia decided to do that. It kind of gives you a little bit perspective into the culture. But if you were asking about this, this is to piss off the Saudis because this is a symbol of the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire fought the Saudi government several times and defeated them twice. And the current Saudi government is considered the third Saudi Arabia that you see. This is not the first Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has failed twice. Also, you have to recognize the black history of the Ottomans at the end. They not even at the end. They have a lot of dark history, but we can talk about that. They supported slavery. They had the genocide with the Druze, or the Kurds, I mean, and they had the also genocide with the Armenians, I believe. Also, they have supported the Nazi in World War II. So, just putting all of these things together, the Ottomans aren't, they don't have a clear book either. But Muslims believe that the fall of the Ottoman Empire was the worst thing that happened to Islam. That's what Muslims believe. The fall of the Ottoman Empire led to all of the current situations that we have in the Middle East. If you ask Muslims, that was an answer to the hat. One of the things that are unknown is the true depth of covert Chinese logistical intelligence and Russian intelligence and financial support, uh, guaranteeing Iranian resistance is a critical unknown. The last unknown that I have is the geographic location security status of Iranian highly enriched uranium stockpile during the week of the initial command and control collapse remain dangerously unverified. We still don't know where the nuclear cakes are held. We have no idea. Uranium cakes, we don't know where they are. Let's take a look at your questions. Oh yeah, I can switch this and say just questions. From now on, I'll be only seeing questions on here. So if you're writing a comment, I won't be able to read it on Substack. I really like this. See. Oh wow. Do you have any knowledge on Russia's threatening threats to Poland? No, I don't have any news or information about Russia's threat to Poland. Is Arabi an effective language to Chinese? No. But interesting fact, Saudi Arabia has mandated Chinese in public, Mandarin in its public schools. Ni hao, ni hao ma. Like Hindu, Arabic did not have vowels. Arabic does have vowels. Why should there be trust? Share is restack. Sure, if you want to call it restack, but I appreciate it if you restack, retweet, or share this live stream, whatever you want to call it. Did you have any information about something? I've just heard Russia threatening to invade Poland. I heard it after you and Malcolm spoke. No, I did not see anything about the invasion of Poland. The Fez hat, I just explained to you the meaning of Fez hat. In Yiddish, there is a word called shamata, meaning rag. I think from what my mom used to say. Is this related? I don't remember what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about Shema. Maybe? I'm talking about Shema. I'm talking about this that Arab men wear. Very similar to, but without the agal. And there are some Arabs that would wear the shmag without the agal, just like that. But just like that. So it's not exactly the exact same design, but the shmag was never just red and white. The shmag, this is the more modern style. Older styles were stitched by hand. The ones that you see with the red and white, those are all machined, and they're much easier to make. Back in the old days, something like that would have cost you a fortune, and it was made by hand before machinery was made or anything like that. And that would be something that you would inherit from your parents or give to your grandkids because it's made out of wool and it would survive generation. They decreed that no one could wear the fez hat, yes, as in governmental buildings, especially. You can wear the fez hat outside if you're like you have your own restaurant and you have a theme or something. No one will tell you shit. But if you're wearing it just out and about, people will look at you sideways because they look at the Ottomans as enemies. Now the image a little bit changed toward the Turks because they're no longer Ottomans, but there are many Turks, many Arabs, and many Saudis that would love to see the Ottoman Empire back. You think about it, there's an interesting hypocrisy here because the Ottoman Empire represented Islam. And what the Saudis technically did is they found a religious clerk that said the Ottoman Empire Islamic belief is not Islamic enough. And we have to push our interpretation of the far right extremist Islam that anyone that doesn't believe in our Islamic ideology is technically not a Muslim and therefore deserve to be killed. And that gave them kind of permission to fight back those Ottomans. And according to the Saudis, they fought so they can spread Islam when Islam was already spread. So there's a lot of question marks on, the spreading of Islam and the reunification of the Muslim world because the Muslim world was unified under one country. Interesting, right? What if, like me, one looks silly in a fez hat? I mean, I still don't understand why I haven't joined. I've been invited to the Freemasons. I still don't understand the reason why Freemasons wear it. I still don't understand what's the meaning of the crescent being not sideways, not upward, but downward, and the sword is hitting it that way. It's just I have some questions about the symbolism that the Freemasons use and what it actually means when they designed it. Why the crescent is facing downward rather than sideways or upward. That doesn't tend to be. That's like when you have two swords aiming downward rather than upward. Like I don't know if you know symbolism and some symbolism in the signature world. But swords aiming downward is when you lose a war. Swords when you point upward is when you are winning, victorious. There's different meanings. Not every crown is a royal crown. There's some crowns that represent uh, lords, or some crowns that represent uh, princes. There are some crowns that represent different positions. Not all crowns are royal crowns. Not all. So like people just don't know, and these symbolism have meaning. And to me, the crescent upside down being hit with a sword doesn't look like a good symbol, or doesn't look like a symbol that's honoring the crescent. Do I care if the crescent is being honored or not? Not necessarily, but I'm just interested to understand the meaning, and I don't think the meaning is public by any chance. Also, why is your membership so expensive? And the higher you go, the more expensive. But this is a classist club. This is not a community club. Community club allows everyone to join, regardless of their income status. But fraternities and sororities and the Freemasons, for some reason, they all want you to pay. They all want you to pay. Community is not based on you paying. Yeah, you step in and support your community, but I don't know. That was one of the biggest rules in my fraternity is you have to pay member dues. And at the time, as a guy from Saudi Arabia, dues aren't that big of a deal. Classism wasn't that big of an issue in my head. But as someone that went through homelessness, started again from zero, fought through the class war in the US and got myself to where I am at again, and someone that watched the 1% in person and rubbed shoulders with princes and royalty, at this point, I know the difference. I know what it is. So when I see a club like that, I'm looking at it sideways. Why are you inviting me and asking to pay? Didn't you invite me? I thought you invited me. I don't think there's a problem with anyone wearing a fez hat, honestly. I have more problem with people making fun of different races or ethnicities by, doing the monkey or the other stuff. That's a little bit more offensive to me than people wearing other people national clothes. Prophet Muhammad said, perfecting someone else's enunciation with respect is a sign of the ultimate respect for someone else. When someone comes on, there was a tribe that came to Prophet Muhammad when he was in Medina, and they spoke to him in their own accent. And he responded proficiently back in their accent. And he was asked about that. He said it's respectful to not only perfect someone else's language, perfect their accent, be respectful to the point where you were talking to them, they feel like you're one of them. I feel like now we try to perfect someone's accent to make fun of them, not to show respect to them. There's a misunderstanding there. And that, the culture gap was so big between me and the Americans. When I first came to America and I was in middle school or junior high, I remember at one time I went to one of my black friends and I did one of the stupidest mistakes any child would do. I went to him and I said, how do you say this in a black accent? And he just looked at me sideways. Oh my God. I'm still not from the US. I'm not like from I don't understand the cultural context. I don't have no understanding of anything about what's happening in the US. And my question was, how do you say this in a black accent, thinking I was being respectful. But I wasn't, right? And he took me onto the side. He was very nice for a guy in a junior high. He was really wise. He took me out to the class and he told me like This is not like what you do in the US. This would be disrespectful. Like for a guy that was his age, that was very wise, and I learned a lot from it. Never repeated that mistake again. But I was maybe like 13, 14 years old. 13. Yeah, something like that. Barely knew anything about America. Still learning English. Didn't, still figuring I was still in ESL. Yeah. So perfecting someone else's language can be very respectful. Wearing someone else's, like when we are Saudis, right? And I see an American coming to my country, and that American asks for help to dress in my national clothes. You think Saudis, what will they do? They'll get so excited. Yes, let me help you. And they'll take you to a tailor and tailor the right thobe on you, even though the tailor wouldn't be expensive. They'll find you some, really cheap tailor, and they'll make you a thobe. And tailoring in Saudi Arabia way, 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 way cheaper than the US. So you'd go in there, you pay like maybe, even in the US, if I go to a Somali tailor in Minneapolis, I can, if I bring the cloth, the Somali guy was like, I'll tailor the thobe for you for $80 if you bring the cloth. $80. That's how cheap tailoring for us is. And when we buy new clothes from the uh from dealers or whatever, we take our clothes and we go to the seamstress and the tailor, and we tell him to fit that clothes on us. So the tailor goes and takes your sizes and fit the new clothes that you just bought on you. To that point that we like tailoring. So no, when you come to us and you say, Waji, I would love to get some of your traditional clothes. We get really excited. I think the same thing in Japan and China. When you're like showing respect and you're like actually interested in wearing that traditional clothes, people will be very happy. That's just, cultural exchange. There has to be cultural exchange. I don't know if you know, but we have Saudis literally in Saudi Arabia dressing like they're in the hood in America. Cribs, Bloods, they do the sign. They have the same, exact cars that jump upside down. They're running. They have they're walking around as if they're living a certain lifestyle or personality. People love American culture, whether it's African American or whether it's not African American. People love American culture. Your culture has reached other countries without them knowing any of your nuances, without them knowing anything about your history. They'll see shit and they'll start doing it. So you'll see motherfuckers in Saudi Arabia, like with a black accent, doing all the signs and stuff. And if you know anything about, cribs and blood in the US and you're visiting Saudi Arabia, you'd be laughing your ass off because they're just hanging out as friends. They're just up crib, up blood. They're just. I came to the U.S. I was in Columbia, Missouri, my first or second year in the U.S. And I'm still learning English. I don't know. I I'm just like barely yes, no. I need to go to the bathroom. Basic, simple stuff. And I'm in the locker room, and I don't know if you remember this, but back in the early 2000s, there was a belt that had a screen on it. And that screen would have like those words pass by or designs or stuff. It's like, look at this belt. This belt is gangster. And in Columbia, Missouri, I was going to a junior high school in a very bad neighborhood. So I thought gangster meant cool. I started walking around the middle school. Oh, I'm gangster. I'm gangster. Kids was walking up to me. It's like, what gang are you in? Like, what do you mean, what gang I'm in? I'm gangster. I'm cool. They just started laughing their ass off because I thought gangster meant cool. when you wearing something cool and you're telling me this is gangster, the first definition in my head, oh, okay, that means that's cool. So, culture exchange is important, but also it needs to be done in respect. I'm not justifying what the Saudis are doing, acting like Cribs and Bloods. Uh, when does it become appropriation? I think when you start benefiting yourself from it, like when you are, um, so like we have Americans that went to Saudi Arabia and assimilated. Assimilating is not appropriating. When you assimilate and you start wearing the traditional clothes and you, like when I come to the United States and I start wearing suits, am I appropriating the suit? I'm not appropriating the suit. I'm doing it properly. Once I do blackface, once I'm doing selling this as a product of mine, then I think there's an appropriation. I'm not the best person to talk about appropriation, but I'm a person that just says if you go to Japan, you'll see the same people that are in Saudi Arabia trying to act Crips and Bloods. The same exact people. Like not Saudis, but Japanese people. They're acting Cribs and Bloods. Okay, and then I'll see other people in Saudi Arabia, the Harley team. My uncle was one of them. We have the Harley Jeddah Club. When Trump came to off when Trump came to Saudi Arabia, the one of the people that welcomed him was the Saudi Harley Club. Vroom, 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 vroom. Harley, 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 Harley. Pulling up, wearing the Harley jackets, wearing you would say these motherfuckers look American. When does it become appropriation? I haven't studied sociology enough to tell you when it becomes appropriation. But I'm telling you that culture is meant to be shared from our perspective in the Middle East. Culture is meant to be shared. Now, once you find yourself as superior, I have issue with that. Once you try to profit off of someone else's culture, I have a problem with that. Once you try to become like the gatekeeper of a culture that's not yours, I have I have a problem with gatekeeping just in general. But like once people start becoming who doesn't have anything to do with the culture, they start becoming the gatekeepers. I'm like, why are you a gatekeeper? There does need to be some discussion about where appropriation starts and where it ends. And there also needs to be how do you practice and show respect to different cultures and what are the etiquettes of doing so because it changes from one country to another. It's never the same. So I still have a lot of feelings and thinkings about appropriation. Like why do you think when Trump comes to Saudi Arabia we invite him to do the sword dance? Or like when Bush goes to China and Japan and he wore the Chinese national dress and some other leaders would wear the kimono when they go visit Japan and meet with the emperor. That's just those are things that you do to show respect to the person that you're visiting somehow. I don't know. I think there needs to be more discussion without having to counsel anyone right away. We need to have an honest discussion about this. Where does appropriation start and where does it end? And how can you celebrate people's culture and honor their culture without being disrespectful? Because each group has a different perspective on that. You can't, my dad, even though him and I don't have a relationship, he used to say something very wise. He said, your fingers are not the same. Even your thumb to a thumb don't look the same. So how do you expect people to be the same? Different culture, different ethnicities are different. Even people from the same culture, even people from the same family are different. So just keep an open mind about having these type of discussions. Uh, I was watching House of the Dragons yesterday, and there was a whole bunch of people wearing turbans, and my husband goes, um, I was just commenting, "Oh, look, the guys with the turbans there," and he goes, "Oh, we can skip like this racist TV show if you want." I looked at him and was like, I honestly, at this point, this racism doesn't bother me directly as much as that we are not having discussion about sharing culture or representation or uh, because the reality of the situation is in the United States in particular, doesn't matter where you go, private or public, we ask every person filling every document, every paperwork, what is your race? What is your ethnicity? What is your skin tone? Are you Hispanic or Latino? Are you Middle Eastern? And we make determinations based exactly on those questions. Yet we don't want to talk about any of it. So you were telling me that we're making decisions for people's lives exactly based on race and ethnicity. We're asking every person on every goddamn document whether what their race or ethnicities are. And yet, when we want to talk about the rules that apply to them, we don't want to talk about it. That sounds stupid. That's ridiculous. It has nothing to do with how we move forward. What about Middle Eastern music? Do you have any favorite? I am an old soul when it comes to Middle Eastern music. I like the old voices, Kulthum, uh, Fairuz. These are some voices that take taste. And Arabic music sound to us different than it sounds to you. Our brain is wired a little different. When there's certain tones get played for us, for you, it doesn't register as the party is about to get started. Some tones, when they start, we can tell, oh, this is about to get nice, or this is about to get depressing. And depending on how the tone starts, we really start getting in the mood because some depressing tones just never can become happy. They just you start in there, you're gone. The whole tune is going to be depressing. And there are some really beautiful depressing tunes. The lute is meant to represent a woman crying voice. I don't know if you know that. So if you listen to an Arabic, it's just some more. I'm too tired this morning, y'all. The music, yes. There's some things that you hear and it will just make you cry without you understanding the lyrics. Some things when people actually sing with emotion and you can feel that emotion, yeah? Beautiful feeling when you listen to certain voices. I've listened to certain people sing, and there some people voices somehow with emotion they can hit, they can hit, they can hit. I think Omar Sharif played Hussein's father. He's offered to take Lawrence. That's back to history. Any other questions? Oh, here you go. There's other questions here. Do you want a list of words Waji has taught us? Waji, please correct the spelling. Inshallah, God willing, Habibi, my dear, my love, family. You can use Habibi with your friends and people you don't know as well. Depending on you use Habibi, you know. Yeah. Okay, sweetheart, hurry up, hurry up. Let's go. Habibi, let's go. I don't know who they are, but move on. Move on. Let's go. You can use that tone as well. Haram, himar, donkey, yes. Ya himar, yeah. Ya himar, yeah. You donkey, yeah. Yalla, let's go. I would, Khalas is spelled KH. Kha, with a kha. And then, Kali Wali, let it go. Tamam. It's Tamam. Yeah, tamam. Yani, you know, you'll find a lot of Arabic leaders when they're talking to journalists. They'll sometime, in the middle of them talking English, they're saying like this and that, and then they will say يعني, just without thinking. They think they're trying to speak English, but they'll drop an Arabic word like يعني, I mean, and you'll see a lot of people do that. Ya صاحبي means you buddy. I think tamam is used in Turkish as well. Yes. How did your family own any exotic animals? My neighbors did, or my friends. I know people that did own exotic animals. We personally did not own any exotic animals. We had parrot. Yeah, no, but I knew people that had exotic animals. Exotic animals in Arabia go way back. This is nothing new. For more than 1,000 years, exotic animals and Arabs have been uh, a very. But also, Arabs view animals as utility. Sadly, they don't see animals as their own beings. They see them as property. If I'm being honest, I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying the ideology. Let's see if we can look at your. We have 252 people. Do Saudis have pets? Of course, they have pets. We love our camels. We love our camels. We love our horses. We love our cats. And some people have dogs. Some people have lions. Others have cheetahs. But yeah, we love our camels and we love our horses. And Arabian horses are very proud and very jealous, very warm blooded. If they see you talking to another horse, they'll get pissed off. If they just see you petting another horse, they will get pissed off. And once they get close to their owners, they become very close to their owners, and they would even get jealous from the owner's kids. So yeah, no, horses, very emotional, intelligent animal, and Arabian horses are very, very cute and emotional. Okay, we have reached an hour and a half. I can tell that you are a horse person. Hello from Ocala. Well, hello, EG. Thank you. Yes, I grew up before I came to the US. I was starting to learn how to ride horses. I was going to a school full of Saudi princes and royalties and kids of high officials. And the school that we went to had horse riding classes. But unfortunately, most of the kids were more focused on playing soccer. Um, but yeah, it was nice to go ride horses and learn how to do the basics. Uh, but we have Arabian wisdom that says, well, Prophet Muhammad said this basically. Said all prophets of God raised sheeps. They all raised sheep. They were all the sheep leopard. Isn't that what they called sheep leopard? The person that leads the sheep. Yes, I think so. So the reason he said all the prophet, then he explained shepherd. Yes, a shepherd. So the shepherd is all the prophets were chosen to be shepherd for a good reason. And that if you are a person that usually raises horses, you end up becoming too proud and a little bit of a narcissist. And if you tend to raise camels, you tend to become tough and mean. And when you raise sheep, you become soft hearted and caring about your community and being a leader. That's because largely the personality of the animal rubs on the human. You'll see a lot of pet owners sometimes meet their pet's personality somehow, or their pet personality will meet the owner's personality, and it's kind of cute, but it's not too far off. And I was talking to a Catholic monk one time, and I was telling him the story, and he asked me if he could steal that story. So I think that story was worth telling if a Catholic monk was asking to steal that story so he could share it with others. Do your cats or dogs look like me? Oh, my cat is as hairy as I am. Maybe more than hairy. Have you seen hairier than cats and dogs? It's really difficult to raise sheep in Florida. I wonder if that's part of the problem. uh, I don't know why it's hard to raise sheep in Florida, but that's funny. I'm gonna stick around to see if there's any more of your questions for a little longer. I'm surprised. I saw the Pope Leo. He excommunicated um, one of their churches in Switzerland. I'm still surprised he hasn't excommunicated JD Vance. Genuinely, I'm still surprised that JD Vance has not been excommunicated from the Catholic Church. May God bless his soul. Is it to the right or to the left first? I forgot. Thank you for coming. Yeah, have a good one, Michelle. It's left. Okay, I was right. So I've spoken to Deborah Amos. For y'all that have been wondering about Deborah Amos, Deborah Amos is a renowned international NPR correspondent and journalist. She has covered the Middle East, has covered the dictatorships and dictators, has covered human rights violations, was a professor at Columbia University in New York, and now is also a renowned professor at Princeton University. She has agreed to join our podcast on Sunday. We also have another episode coming to you on Sunday, the same Sunday with Malcolm, to talk about Section 219 and 1417. The two section, is it 14 or Section 1217, I think, in the Senate? Is it 1217 or 1417? 1417. No. Yes, Section 1217. I was right. Section 1217 and Section 219. Section 1217 is in the Senate and 219 in the House is the proposal for the fiscal year 2027 National Defense Security uh, funding or a bill. In this bill, they're wanting to erode the American sovereignty by destroying the checks and balances that we have and destroying our ability to choose when and how and where we want to support Israel. We would be handing all of our intelligence security apparatus over to Israel and hope that we get some of their quantum technology and AI technology that still hasn't proven itself to be effective yet. At the same time, Americans wouldn't be able to ask Congress to investigate on how much funding we give them. Currently, the United States can choose and count how much money we give to Israel. Now, after this passes, you won't be able to. There was supposed to happen a discussion to talk about this on the House floor, but the Republicans. The Republicans and Democrats are on the same page on this. Not all of them, majority of them. This is unanimous. That's why when I tell you guys need to fight back against the establishment, it is also with the Democrats. The Democrats are supporting this. They want to give your money away. They want to support the status quo. And at the same time, they're coming out and criticizing Israel. I don't know what kind of government we're having at the same time, but definitely something bipolar. I used to say the weather in Kansas needs a therapist. I think now the United States as a whole needs a therapist. Maybe 20. Maybe 50 for each state. We need one. I am surprised that the House of the People is giving up away their powers. Since when did we expect the House of the People gives away their powers? I have no idea. This is your word, Jared, not mine. I did not say anything. You're trying to get me in trouble now. If you are watching this, please destroy that heart button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please become a subscriber. If you know, this channel is funded purely by listeners and readers like you. It's not supported by any company. It's not supported by any campaign. There is no outside funding. All of our work, research, podcasts, interviews, invitations comes out of our direct own pocket. We spend all of our money on this podcast, whether it's equipment, whether it's invitations, whether it's you know, paying people to do this T-shirt. So that's why we need people like you. We depend on not big donors, but we depend on small donors like you. So if you have $5 a month that you could give us, we would really appreciate it. If you have $30 a year that you could give us, we would be very, very appreciated of it. And believe it or not, our VIP membership is $1,000. Why? Because those who want to support me way more, they can choose to pay up to $1,000 as a membership for our founders or VIP list. But otherwise, our membership is very, very affordable. It's $5 or $30 a year, and it makes this operation possible. You know, again, we have to pay people to work in the back in the back ends to help us with the editing, to help us with the writing, to help us. You know, I want to pay. You know, I want to pay people for their work, not just let them do that work for free. Even though some of them like to volunteer because they believe in the issue, but we do want to support others and we want to help fund their operation, and your work has and your payment has been making that possible. So if you are a paid subscriber or a free subscriber, thank you so much. Believe it or not, if you're on YouTube, you don't need to be a paid subscriber. You could just subscribe, hit the like button, put a comment, and that alone generates a lot of money for our channel. So if you cannot afford funding my podcast, your likes, shares, comments on my channel, whether it's on Substack or YouTube, helps way more than you think. Do not underestimate your value. Do not underestimate your importance in our channel. We have trainings coming up. I reached out back to Justice to see when she's available to do the grassroots training. Gave her a couple days, gave her a couple weeks. So I'm going to check in with her again. Her husband is going through dialysis. Her husband's a very sick man that is facing medical mistreatment and Missouri. So she's going through a lot, and yet she's still trying to figure out a way to do this grassroots training. We do appreciate your patience. We have Deborah Amos coming up this Sunday, and um, then we have also Malcolm Nance coming up on our podcast this coming Sunday. I have had some people suggest speakers. If you know some keynote speakers that would that you personally know and that you could invite to the podcast, please invite them over. I would love to help them out. Also, if you cannot afford to become a member on my channel and you want to have access to my writing and you want to have access to my uh, articles after they have a paywall, just message me. Message me with your email. Tell me that you want a membership on the house. And I got you. No questions asked. You don't need to tell me your economic situation or health situation or life situation. I will not ask you any questions. I will happily give you one on the house. And for the people that I have given them the membership and for some reason they have lost it, reach out to me because I have been reaching out to Substack customer service and they have been fixing it. They have been fixing it one by one. So I've given memberships to people and they have lost it for some reason or another. Reach out to me, give me your email, I'll give it to Substack. I'm in direct communication with the support team at the moment. If you paid the VIP membership by accident and you didn't want to pay the $1,000, that's okay. Come to me, tell me that you paid the $1,000 by accident, and I will give you a full refund on the house. No problems asked. My phone is about 3% dying. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as Philip DeFranco says, you may not fuck with politics, but politics will always fuck with you. مع السلامة. Bye bye. بالإنجليزي goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow.